So in today's class, I'm going to explain some important things in JavaScript again. And I think I need everybody to this might be the last time we'll be having, in fact, this is definitely going to be the last time we'll be having these physical classes. So I need everybody to listen to this so that you do not have issues with it again. So we're talking about variables, right? We'll be talking about data types, right? So we'll be talking about functions, right? I'm going to explain conditionals for objects. I'm going to explain arrays, which is very important, much important. Then I'm going to explain conditional statements. Now, these are the things that we will be talking about, right? Conditional statements. Then probably, if there is still time, we'll talk about ES6 features, right? To talk about all of these things. Now, let us start with variables. What are variables? What exactly do you mean by variables? One thing that I want you to know about variables is that variables are containers. Again, if we're going to understand this needs 100% attention for everybody to get. So please try as much as possible to take note of this class. Now, variables are containers, right? We're going to call variables containers. Now, why are they containers? They are containers because they help you store value, they help you store data so that they can be accessed later in your code. That's what variables are. Now, you've probably seen us use variables a lot of times, right? And then we use them multiple times. That's basically what your variables are. Now, why are variables important? First of all, use them to store data. Second of all, use them to recall values, right, in your code. So, for instance, let's say let's list out the three variables that we have. We have three types of variables. You have let, you have const, and then you have var. Now, these three types of variables are very much important because they are basically how you write your variables. Do you get it? Now, let's start with the first one, which is var. I can say var a equals to 20, right? I can say var a equals to 20. Then I can access a later, and I can say console.log. I can say a. Now, what this is going to do for you is that when I now try to check out my console and see whatever it is we are doing, what do I see in my console? I'm going to see A. So if you check out 20, as you can see, do you understand now? Now, what have I done? I've just said 20 should now be known as A. I changed, just like I changed the name of 20. So wherever you see A, you're talking about what? 20. Now, similarly, I can use let to do the same thing. I can say let B equals to what? 30. Right? And I can say console.log B. Now, wherever you see B, you're also going to see the same thing, which is going to be what? 30. Similarly, again, you're going to have the third one, which is what? Const C equals to 40, then console.log C. Now, this is basically how your variables work. Var, let, and const are known for one common thing, storing values so that they can be used later. We've seen cases like this when we're talking about Firebase, when we're doing that Firebase project. We stored user data to something, and then we called user data again in another function or in another block of code. That is basically what your variables are. Now, your variables can be defined in two ways. First of all, you have global scope, and then you have what? Local scope. Do you understand? You have global, and then you have what? Local. Now, when we talk about global scope, we're talking about defining a particular variable that is accessible to every part of your code. Now, what am I saying? In your JavaScript file, the JavaScript Firebase file that we worked on in our last class, what did you notice? You noticed that we had sign up and login, right? Now, if I define my variable outside of that sign up and login, that variable I defined is a what? A global variable. Why? Because I can access that variable in both login and where? Sign up. Now, what am I saying? Let's say this is ABC now, and I have function login. right? If I say console.log A, right? Let me remove this console.log here. If I say console.log A and I call this function login out, now what am I going to expect? I'm going to see what A is going to get printed out, as you can see, 20. Why is it that? Because what I just did is that what I have defined this particular variable outside, making it a what? A global variable. This is now what? A global variable. Do you understand it now? That is one of the reasons why when I called it in this function, it worked. I can also go ahead and what? Call this particular thing in the sign up function again, and it's still going to work. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say function. So let's say register, right? Now, if I do the same thing and I say console.log B, right? And I go ahead and call out my register. Now note, I'm still going to have what? 30 right there. Why? Because this is a what? A global variable. Why is it global? Again, I defined it outside of any local scope. Now, you might be asking, how then do you not get a local scope variable? And this is how you get a local scope variable. When we talk about scope, scope is saying that this is a particular block of code meant for one particular thing. For instance, this is a scope. Why is it a scope? Because it's a function meant for something. Are we getting this? It's a function meant for something. And what's the function meant for? Login. So that's a scope. This is another scope, right? Do you understand it now? But this again is another scope. Why? Because it's like a general thing meant for everything in your code. That's why they call it global scope or global variables. Do you understand it now? So now, if I now want to define a local variable or a local scope variable, what will I do? I have to go into that particular scope and say, let Z equals to what? 50. Now, this is now a what? Local variable. Why? I can only access it in this particular variable. Now, if you check it out now, you should see what? 50. But if I try to say console.log Z in this place, now note what is going to happen. You know, I did not define Z here. Where did I define Z? Login, right? Now, I want you to check what happens here. It's going to tell you what? Uncut reference Z is not defined. But you might be thinking, I defined Z in this login place now. Then why is Z not working here? Z is not working here because your JavaScript automatically saw Z as a what? As a locally scoped variable in the function of what? Login. But in the function of what? Register, Z is not defined. You understand it now? That is what local and global scope variables are. So you need to understand that part of what variables. Some variables are what? Locally scoped, while some are globally. Any variable that you see that is inside the function, inside that one if statement, or inside a block of code is a what? Locally scoped variable. As long as you do not bring it outside, it is locally scoped. Now, in this case, this is what? A locally scoped variable. Now, I hope we all understand this. Any question? Now, the difference now, your var left and const, they do almost the same thing. Now, the difference is that you're not going to face in this place is that when we talk about your var allows for okay, let me try and so now as you can see, var is function scoped. It can be accessed outside the block. Let us leave that. I don't want to go into that for now. Now, when we talk about var, right, we're talking about variables that allows reassignment and redeclaration. Now, what does reassignment and redeclaration mean? I will show us now. When I say var a equals to 20, what have I just done? I declared that particular variable var a equals to 20, and I assigned the value of 20 to a. What am I saying? I declared the variable name, which is what? var, and I assigned 20 to what? A. I can now still go ahead and what? Redeclare var and reassign a to what? 25. Meaning if I say console.log a, what am I going to see? Am I going to see what? 25 up here. Now, this means that it is what? Reassigned. So I'm going to say reassigned, reassignable, and what? Redeclarable. I can reassign var. I can reassign A to another value and still call out var again. Now, when we now talk about let, right? What exactly does let mean? Let's say let. Now, let is what? Reassignable but not redeclarable. Now, what does this mean? The English again. I can go ahead and say, oh, if I say let B equals to 50, this is a problem. Why is it a problem? Why is it a problem? Try it. Just go ahead and give an answer. Why is it that it's giving me a problem here? No. Again, check out the definition I gave. Var can be reassigned and redeclared. Let cannot be reassigned, cannot be redeclared, but can be reassigned. Go ahead. No, that's not the reason. Var can be redeclared and reassigned. Let cannot be redeclared, but it can be reassigned. Okay. No, not exactly. Let not exactly. Now, I need a probably we did not get this reassign and redeclare explanation. When I say reassign, I'm saying that I'm putting another value to the variable, right? As you can see, I assigned 20 to A, and I reassigned 25 towards A. That's reassignment. Redeclaring is saying I'm calling the variable keyword again. That's redeclaration. Now, in this case, I'm saying let can be what? Reassigned, but not redeclarable. I reassigned it, but at the same time, I'm still what? Redeclaring it again. Let. Do you understand? So for this to not be a problem, I have to just what? Remove let. And then automatically it's going to work. Again, let allows for what? Reassignment. I can reassign it, but I cannot redeclare the let again. That's what let is talking about. But for your var, I can redeclare it twice, so even 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. But for your let, you cannot do it. Now, for your const is now saying you cannot redeclare and you cannot reassign. Why? Because it is a constant. You know, when we're in, okay, I don't want to use maths every time, but I have to use it. There's a particular thing they used to call constants in mathematics. So constants are things that don't change. 5, very good. 3.142. It does not change. Everybody knows the value of pi. Do you get? It does not change. There are other things again in normal maybe economics that are also constant that they don't change. Do you get? For instance, the supply and demand curve, all of those things, they are constant. The higher the demand, the higher the supply. Do you get it now? So that is basically how it is. Those things don't change. Now, it's still the same thing with constant here. Constant cannot be reassigned and then it cannot be redeclared. Do you get it now? That's it. Now, that is why if I come down in this place now and I say const C equals to 40 and I say C equals to what? 50, as you can see, this is a what? Type error because it cannot be reassigned. If I also try to redeclare it again and I say const, another big error, it cannot be redeclared. Now, that is one thing, that is one difference that you're going to have between all of these variables, var, let, and const. Do we all understand it? Is it all clear to us? I need answers, please. Is it clear to everybody? Okay. Now, that is that. Yeah? What is not clear? So what I'm saying is you cannot redeclare, you cannot call let again. Once you've called let once and you've assigned it to a particular value, you cannot call let again for that particular value. As you can see, I cannot call let again for B. I cannot say let B equals something. I can just say let C or let D. You understand? I cannot say let C, let B, or let C, because C has been assigned to something here. I cannot call it again twice. But I can go ahead and what? Reassign. not redeclare let. Do you get it now? That's what let is. Please do all get this now. Is it clear to everybody? Okay. Yeah. So now that is that about your variables. Move on to the next one, data types. Now, what are data types? Data types are basically types of data. That's what they are. Types of data. So I hope everybody is writing this. It's very much important. Mr. David, are you trying to jot this down? I can just write the codes and follow us. So yes, I'm recording. So now, when we talk about data types, what exactly do we mean by data types? Data types are types of data, right? And what do I mean by types of data? For instance, you note something that let me use this method. How do you perform tasks in programming? You perform tasks by getting data and setting the value of data to something. So I will use data a lot of time. So what do you mean by data? Data like our raw values that has not been processed. That's what data are. So for instance, getting your name is data, right? Now getting to know somebody is like information. Yes. No, not exactly the value, or probably value. Yes, value, exactly value. But that's information. Information is like processed data. Your value can be form of like a processed data. Your value is even still data. But when you now try to use that value to sign someone up into your system, that's like information. Now, what exactly do you mean by data types? Data types are basically types of ways to get data in JavaScript. So, for example, what am I saying? If I want to get someone's age and I want a particular person to sign up onto my application or sign up into my, I need to get that person's password, person's email, sometimes someone's age. Do you get? Now, those things I'm getting are what? Data. Do you understand now? Those things I'm getting is data. Now, in JavaScript, we have two types of data. And I'm not going to ask us questions, but I somehow there's this confidence I think you should know it because we did it before. Now, in JavaScript, we have two types of data. You have first is primitive data types, while the second is what? Non-primitive data type. Now, when we talk about primitive, right? Primitive are data types that are built into JavaScript. Non-primitive data types are data types that are built on primitive. You get it? So just like fundamental and derived quantities. So again, if you're not a science student, sorry. So that's how it is. Fundamental and derived quantities. That's how basically data types are. So when we talk about fundamental quantities, they're like the normal quantities you see. So for instance, your time is a fundamental quantity. Electricity is also a fundamental quantity. You have length, you have mass, and so on. So now, derived quantity are now basically based on those fundamental quantities. It's the same thing as your primitive data types. So for instance, your primitive data types, you have what? String, you have number, you have boolean, you have null, and then you have undefined. Now, these are what? These are all your primitive data type. Now you have, some people will be like, oh, we have symbols also. See, symbol. But again, it's not really that important right now. Symbol is so for instance, your dollar sign is a symbol. Dollar sign in what's the name? This string, backticks, template literals. I know a lot of us were here when we did it. We were also here. So that particular dollar sign that you put before writing your variable name is also a symbol, it's a data. Do you get? But a lot of people like me, I don't like adding this because I feel like, oh, they don't really matter much. Do you get? They only matter when you want to use it to what color that data type. So I call this specified. String number, boolean, null, and undefined as the major data types. Now, what exactly do these things do? Now, when we talk about string are just like set of characters. Now, what do you mean by set of characters? For instance, I want to write name. Your name is a character. Paul is a character. John is a character. Ugochi is a character. All of those things are what characters. Do you get it now? So, how exactly do you now go ahead and write these characters? You write these characters in 3 ways. First is in what? Is in your normal double strings, single coded strings. The second is your double quoted strings, and the third is in your backticks. Now, these are the 3 ways you write your string. Now, I'm not going to be focusing on the remaining 2, which is single quote and backticks, because I think we have a lot to cover today, so I don't want to go into those things. But just know that if you understand this, you can write your string, your double quote. You can actually write it. So, for instance, let's say const name or first name equals to what? John. Then const last name equals to what? Do. Now, this is what? This is first name and last name. Now, I can go ahead and now say console.log I'm going to use backticks, and I'm going to say $sign. Let's use $sign. Or let's say my name is first name. I'm going to use $sign. I'm going to say first name. Then I'm going to use $sign again for last name. I'm going to say last name. Now, as you can see, I've been able to use these last 2 to explain what strings are. This double quote here is a string. This double quote here is a string. John Doe is a string. Now, let me just change this to single quote. You understand? So these are strings. Now, why exactly are they strings? Now, because they allow you to write characters. John is a character. Paul is a character. Do you get it now? That's exactly why there was strings. Now, in this place, I said first name is John. Second name is what? Doe. Then I want to go ahead and print it out to my console and write all of them together. Now, for me to be able to join first name and last name together without using concatenation, which we talked about. Concatenation is adding strings together. Now, without using concatenation, you can go ahead and use this particular template literals as a string. Now, if you come to your console, you should be able to see my name is John Doe. Do you understand it now? As you can see, this was $sign space for. That's if I'm using concatenation. So in another way, I can do this way again. So instead of using this, I can change it to this. You know what? Ctrl X. Try it again. Console.log. And see my name is, so I can go and I can say I come out and I can say plus first name right? Plus again, I cannot say last name. Right? This is another alternative. Now, if you check that together, my name is John Doe. So now to put that space in between them, I now have to say plus again, string. Do you get it now? Then give it space. So if you check it out, my name is John Doe. But this is a much more stressful way. So I just go ahead and I use this by calling the variable names with the template literals. You understand? This is backticks, another way of writing strings. You understand it now? So that is another way of writing strings. So again, your strings are saying, oh, I just want to write a set of characters. I don't really want to think much of it. Just writing a set of characters. Do we get this? Do we understand this, please, before moving on to the next thing? You don't understand? Okay. Okay. Now let us move on to the next one, which is number. Now, when we talk about number, I think we talked about number, right? Numbers are just your number, right? I can say const age equals to 30, right? And I can say console.log 30. So console.log age. Now, if you check it out, now what do you have here? 30, right? These are numbers. Now, I'm going to ask a question. If I have something like this, console.log time, sorry, const price equals to what? 99.99. And I say console.log price. Is this a number? No. Are you sure it's not a number? Hmm? Are you sure it's not a number? Are you sure it's a number? Look at it again. Is it a number, Mr. David? Or is it not a number? It's not a number. It's a string. Why is it a string? But you put it in of the string. It's a number, it's supposed to be standing alone. Like they are just written comes by the cost 99. Mm-hmm. No, I want you to give me a definite answer. It's a string. It's a string. Okay. Yeah, that's true. It's a string, it's not a number. Now, the reason why it's not a number is I said it before, maybe previously. Anything you see in quotes, single quotes, double quotes, or backticks is a what? String. Anything you see, even if that thing is performing a functionality, it is a string. But even if it's a number, it's a string. Even if it's a Boolean, which we'll get to very soon, it's a string. Now, it does not matter whatever it is doing, as long as it's cycled. String. Same thing with this. This one is a what? A number. Why? Because it's just a normal numeric letter. Now, it has a what? That's a string. Now, move on to the next one, which is Boolean. When we talk about Boolean, right, we're talking about true or false value of a data, right? So I can write something, I can say const is logged in true or false, right? There was something that I showed us in our last class. So I want you to note something. So, okay, let me just open up this in a new folder. Now, yeah, let us check out the auth. Now, there was a particular time that we were having issues. That what we were having issues for was that, oh, whenever we were trying to like click on sign up, it's trying to tell us that there's a particular, it's trying to call the variable or it's trying to call functionality from sign up. So what I had to do was that, first of all, in sign up, I had to wrap it up in this if statement that says if sign up button or if sign up button. Now, what this basically means is that it is checking to see if the functionality we're trying to work on as at that time is what? For sign up BTN, which is this particular one. If that is what we are clicking. Now, what this basically means is that what? If sign up BTN is true, meaning that if what we are trying to click that time is what? Sign up BTN, that's Boolean. And I told you that time that Boolean is very, very hard to just go ahead and write out an example. But this is saying what? If sign up BTN is true, similarly, if login BTN is what? True. Meaning if login BTN is being functional at that time, then all the functionalities under it has to go into what? Login BTN. Now that's exactly the same thing with this. Your Boolean is basically talking about the truth or the false value of a particular data. So if logged in is true, then what do you want? You want to what? Print out something. So let me give us an example of what I'm trying to say. I can say let A equals to what? 10, right? Let B equals to, okay, that's going to give us error. Let X equals to 20. Now, I'm going to check something. I'm going to say console.log A greater than what? X. Now, if A is greater than X, what exactly is it going to print out? I'm going to refresh. Has already been declared. Let me say C. Let me use G. Then let's change this to G also. So now, what is it bringing out? False. Why is it bringing out false? Because G is not greater than X. What's the value of G? 10. What's the value of X? 20. 10 is not greater than 20. But if I just change this to like 60, what are you going to see? You're not going to see what? True. Right? This is Boolean. This data type that is coming out here is what? Boolean. Why? Tell me the true or false value of something or a particular data. That's it. Now, the last two, which is null and undefined, right? Basically, what they are is, let me bring up undefined up. Basically, what undefined is that undefined is saying a particular data has been declared but has not been assigned. There is no assignment. So, for instance, I can say let's say J, right? Because I think I've used this thing. And if I say console.log J, what am I going to have? So if you check it out, undefined. Why? Because J has not been defined. Now, if I go ahead and I try to define J, J equals to 100. Now, you should still see undefined until I put in the console.log again to see it. Now, I'm not going to see what 100. Yeah.
Why didn't you just instead go to that let's J equals to define it? Why do you have somebody?
Sorry, I don't understand. When I just put this up here like this,
Yes.
yeah, that works too. That works. But I just wanted to show you, I wanted to even say something, right? That this is just to show you that JavaScript is synchronous. You know, I talked about synchronism and asynchronism before. It's saying that what everything runs from top to bottom. So it does not matter if J is now defined down here. It is still going to tell you undefined until you call out the value of J again. That is why up here is telling you what's undefined, but down here is telling you 100 until you call it out again. That's what JavaScript is telling you. Is it clear? All right. So now that is that about data types, and I'm very sure a lot of us should understand data types now. I'm going to pause the recording here. Give us like 5 minutes to like write it out and maybe ask questions or relax before moving on to the next one, which is now functions. So any question so far? Yes, sir. Okay.